I think to a child, the child looks at a parent and goes, I am entirely that parent and I am entirely this parent. 100% of each are unseparated together. And when you are saying that the other parent is bad, you're telling the child that they are bad. That's what their self-conscious and self-image sees. It's a terrible thing to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you have a grievance with their other parent, you don't put the kids in the middle, no matter what.
Not at all.
So today we're going to start a video and we're going to watch Dave Ramsey and see what he says about this.
Yes.
Here we go.
And not the
So I got a $20,000 debt that is being garnished weekly from my paycheck.
Ouch. What's that from?
It's from a side-by-side that I purchased and then lost.
Wow.
$20,000 debt. He's getting
expensive
garnished.
side-by-side.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I've got all the bells and whistles.
Okay.
And I'm curious. I have about $80,000 in equity in my home and another $6,000 in personal loan and credit card debt.
Okay, so he's got $80,000 in equity in the home and then a little bit of credit card debt and some personal debt.
Right.
He's about to ask if he should sell his house to pay off the garnishment. But there's a key.
I should sell my house and pay off all my debts and just rent until I can buy again. Or
How much other debt other than the 20? Say it again.
it's $26,000 total in debt.
But 20 of it is this garnishment.
Yes.
What's your car worth?
About $5,000.
Are you married?
No, divorced.
How much do you make a year?
$68,000.
And you have no money, I assume.
None.
You would have already paid it. You wouldn't have called us, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And is that $68K? Is that just from one job, or do you, by chance, do other things? Okay.
This is one job.
Well, that's good news.
How much is your house payment?
Soon.
Okay.
My house payment's right at $1,100.
Okay, so his house payment is $1,100, and he's asking, should I try and go
No.
rent? Do you know what it's going to cost him to go rent?
No, you don't rent.
Even if it was a single... No, it's not that you don't rent, because sometimes renting, you should rent. But...
Yeah,
not
but
in
there's
his-
not the
his-
benefits of renting. When you own your home, you get much more better benefits.
Well, it depends. There's certain circumstances.
Well, yeah, if
But
you
for
owned a
this guy-
business and you had a business in your house and all that, and you were able to,
Well, more importantly for him,
yeah.
he has 4 kids with 50-50 custody. And that means that he has his kids for 1 week and then his wife has the kids for the next
Right.
week. Or they're alternating days or something.
I didn't know that
but
part.
with 4 kids in a house for $1,100, how much would rent be for you to rent a house that would meet that need? It's going to be $2,000 to $4,000 or more a month,
Easily.
as opposed to him owning the house.
Right.
So he's going to
Your
lose
kids?
$12,000 to $20,000 a year out of his $68,000 that he's making. He won't be able to make it. And then if he doesn't do that, what's going to happen? Why, he's going to be
Well,
in an
here's the
apartment.
thing. When you rent,
and
you're
his
paying on that
ex-wife.
for the rest of your life. But if you're owning your home, at one point or another, you're going to have that house paid off.
Yes, but it just depends. Because if you're renting something for $1,000 and you're owning something for $3,000 and your property taxes are $1,000 a month, then there's no difference between you renting and owning. It really just depends. You have
Right.
to analyze both of them.
Yeah, but in this
But
situation, though.
and sometimes in a transition type of period, it can be good.
Mm-hmm.
But not when you have to house 4 kids. He's got a rent or ownership.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to get anything for cheaper, so it's not going to save him money. And the fact that he's owning it instead of renting it, absolutely you're right about that. At this price, he absolutely should definitely not sell his house. And the more important thing is, if he does sell his house and goes and rents, a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 kids, he'll lose custody.
Oh, yeah.
That's the more important thing.
Do you have custody of the kids?
50-50.
Boom. That's the key right there.
Okay. Well, the house is always the last thing I sell. And then the question I always ask myself, and that all of us here on the show ask ourselves, is what would we do if we woke up in your shoes? What would be our next step? So if I'm a divorcee, a bachelor, the house is not that big a deal. I do need a decent place that I'm renting that I can take the 4 kids to, right, when it's my turn to keep them.
There you go.
But home ownership, just a bachelor, loading up your stuff and moving out, it's not that big a deal emotionally. How long ago was the divorce?
Probably.
About 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And this is a 6-month change.
Yes.
The emotions are going to be high,
Mm-hmm.
and his ex is going to be looking for any reason why he shouldn't have those kids 50-50, unless she's really a good ex. I mean, but we're here to protect against the bad version,
Mm-hmm.
and whether that is her, even if she was great, and the marriage just didn't work out, so they worked through the process and got through the divorce in the healthiest way they could, and then 50-50 is great, got both parents in equal amounts of time for the kids. That's awesome for the kids. I assume that they're both good parents, and even if she was great, well, 6 months after the divorce, she's now on her first rebound relationship, and she may not be picking well, and she may get suckered into something, and all of a sudden, he becomes the bad guy in her new boyfriend's story that he tells her, and she starts to buy into it, and then he thinks that she should be receiving child support, because sometimes on a 50-50, especially if they make the same amount of money, no one should pay child support. That's an unfair balance.
Right.
But the new boyfriend may think it's not fair, and maybe we can get some money out of this guy. And he just sold his house, so they don't really have a place to stay. And he just starts poking her and sowing discontent in, and she doesn't realize that it's like the frog in the pot of boiling water. Do you turn the heat up slowly, and the frog won't jump out? The frog will boil to death. As opposed to if you throw a frog in a boiling pot of hot water, the frog's going to jump right out. Well, that can happen to people a lot. And who knows what's going on her end. He's at a lot of risk if he shows instability. And that house, maybe he can, because he has that house, if he got a great deal on it, if he only going to be able to rent something out of the school area or farther away, especially the farther away, if they're doing 50-50, he has to get those kids to school half the time.
Right.
He has to get them to and from school. Well, if you're 10 minutes apart from each other and then you go for 30 minutes apart, one of you is losing 50-50. You need to be extremely close because it needs to be about the same distance back to each house to and from the school for the kids. So this play is not about the money. It's about the kids and having the stability and arranging his finances in order to support him having the kids. But the house is a key level of stability that is extremely important to a divorce lawyer who doesn't want to have to get repeat business from a client for a custody modification after the divorce is done.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Let's see what Dave says.
If I'm in your shoes, a fresh start does sound pretty appealing.
That's true too. A fresh start sure does, and having no debt. But he makes 68. He's only got to pay off 26. I would take the next 2 years and pay off that debt rather than potentially taking my income and having to pay $2,000 a month to rent something. Well, that's an $800 negative hole again. And that's 800 times 12 a month, 800 a month times 12. So for a year, it's more than 10,000. So now it's the equivalent of I have the illusion that my debt's paid off, but now I only make 58,000 because my rent ate up that much more of my income. I wouldn't want to do a solution like that. Let's see where Dave gets.
So yeah,
to.
cleaning this thing off and then storing the rest of that and restart my baby steps. You're debt free. Now you build your emergency fund. Then you start saving to buy a house. Because my guess is if you had $80,000 in the middle of the kitchen table, you wouldn't go buy a house right now.
No.
Obviously, you would pay these things off. You'd set your emergency fund in place, and then you start working towards a house. Is there anything in particular about this house that causes you just dying to keep it?
No, actually, the house is almost getting too small for the number of kids it has.
Okay.
So the house is too small for the number of kids. Okay, so could you imagine having to rent something even bigger than that for more than $1,100 a month?
Right.
Not around here anyway.
No.
Maybe there's some places out there, but that would just scare me because he's got the house. Why go back and have to recreate the wheel in order to just not be in the garnishment debt? I think I would take the garnishment debt, but I don't know. I don't know how it affects his cash flow though. What he hasn't managed yet is
if he has
my next
everything
question.
paid off and he doesn't have any debt.
Well, then he keeps all of his income. I love that garnishment being paid off and that being put somewhere else because who knows how. Here's the issue: how much is being garnished? $100 a month or $10,000? Or $2,000 a month?
Right. Right.
How much is being garnished? All of his paycheck, so he can't even eat and survive. But more likely, and I think from what I remember watching this video a few weeks ago, or whenever it was that I watched it, I think they tell him to get a job when he doesn't have the kids, a second job, and I couldn't agree more.
Right.
You need to burn that and get that garnishment paid.
Yeah.
Or let them just take the garnishment out and supplement your income to make your life better with the money that you're getting from this other job to where you don't care that so much money is being taken out of your other paycheck.
Okay.
Well, I'm kind of thinking, if I'm in your shoes, $26,000 when you make $68,000 isn't that much money. We have people pay off a lot more than that in not very long, and you have 50-50 custody. So you said that $68,000 is from one job, and so you have margin with your time when the kids are with their mom. If I'm in your shoes, I'm going gazelle intense and just knocking off that $26,000.
Boom. Exactly.
Now, that's not to say you don't sell the house
Exactly
just
what I
because
would
you
do.
want to sell the house, but I think...
And as a divorce attorney, that's exactly what I would recommend for him, because if he screws this up, we're going to be saying, well, sir, I'm sorry, you're going to need $10,000 or you're going to lose your kids, and you're going to have to beg, borrow, liquidate, earn, don't steal as much money as you can.
Is he
in
being
order to
garnished
fight
for
this
child support?
I don't know what his garnish is for. I don't think
Yeah.
he mentioned it.
I think you can knock this out.
Yeah, you could probably be done in 9-10 months.
Yep.
I mean, $2,600 a month, but that's just living on beans and rice and beans, and working 2 jobs, And, just rolling up your sleeves and saying, I want this crap out of my life. I want all these negative things in my rearview mirror now that the divorce is in my rearview mirror, rather than looking at, and then I've got a clean future out ahead of me, and I'm a homeowner with a bunch of equity. So
Exactly. And that's the type of solution that I would consider to be a healthy solution. That's exactly what we want for our clients. And that would be a really, really good solution. I mean, we have so many parents that are, all they want is just 50-50 custody, which I think is almost universally great. If you've got a particularly bad parent or an abusive parent or a highly neglectful parent, then maybe 50-50 is not appropriate. Not maybe, but there's plenty of situations where parents' custody and parenting time does need to be limited. But in general, there are things that, especially with a parent that wants to be involved,
Right.
where kids need both parents as much as possible. And I love 50-50 as a balance. If it was up to me, that would be the default law in the state of Texas, and we would be fighting on about the situations where we think it shouldn't be. Because and a lot of times when there's divorces, parents will fight about their parenting styles and different things, and one parent may be more disciplined, parent may be more loosey-goosey, and one may be more loving, one may be more strict. All these just different variations. One may let them do whatever they want. One may want them to be very disciplined. All kinds of things. But the balance of those two is very important. It's great to have kids see both sides. And you made those kids. They are half you and half that other person. And so they need to learn how each person deals with that, and how to you got to pour into them. But for the kids, if you ask kids what they want, what do kids always say? I want them both. I want to spend time with both. Some kids will say, no, I don't like this parent, or I don't like this parent.
Right.
And in a lot of those circumstances, they still need to spend time with both parents. And that you need to give the child that type of help. Another thing is it is horrible for a parent to speak negatively about the other parent, even if it's deserved, because the children are going to judge you as a parent for what you say about the other parent, and they're going to defend that other parent, because when you say that the child is that to the child that the other parent is bad, well, that child thinks, oh, I'm half you and half them, so
Right.
you're saying half of me is bad. Well, I actually don't even think it's half. I think to a child, the child looks at a parent and goes, I am entirely that parent, and I am entirely this parent, 100% of each, unmixed, unseparated, together. And when you are saying that the other parent is bad, you're telling the child that they are bad. That's what their self-conscious and self-image sees. It's a terrible thing to do.
Oh, absolutely. Should never
And if you have a
happen.
grievance with their other parent, you don't put the kids in the middle, no matter what.
Not at all.
Let's see what else Dave says.
So, I think it's an awesome opportunity to just clean it up if you go do what Christina said. It's probably a better plan than I was coming up with. I'm just trying to think. It's probably emotionally wrung out after the divorce, but you don't have the constrictions on your time. So you got the kids when you got the kids, but when you don't, be at work.
Right. Well, I can hear so much heaviness in his voice, and it's easy when you're in those really heavy situations to only tunnel in on big sweeping actions. So paying off the house, selling the house, having that $80,000, that feels good because it's an immediate win. But I think you can fight through this, and I think that
so too.
you need to hear that you can do this. I mean, we see people on this debt-free stage all the time who've paid off way more money than that and have really difficult situations. So I think right now, I just want to encourage you that you can do this. You can have a house with $80,000 in equity and have no debt if you're willing to fight for it.
Yeah. One of the
Yep.
things we always say around here, we got something tough in front of us, business-wise, is we say, what must be true? So ask yourself, what must be true for me to have $3,000 a month on this debt and be done in 9 months?
Yep.
What must be true? That means I'm working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and I'm living, never seeing the inside of a restaurant, and we're not buying a bunch of crap, and we're not going on vacation, and we're going to clean up the mess. And
Yep.
the mess that we made with a side-by-side, freaking Bentley side-by-side, but that you end up $20,000 upside down on it. I mean, that's a story.
Yeah.
How do you...
Oh, he says the garnishment was for, so can't do this in Texas, but they can do this wherever state he was in. The garnish was, he bought it side by side. And so it's not for child support. So guy's a good dad. And he's got
Right.
50-50 custody too. So that's a good deal there. So this is just a old debt that a creditor has been able to garnish. We can't do that in Texas. So yeah, for that and for what his situation is, I completely agree. He just needs to clean this up. And do not sell that house. Do not take away the kids' security. They've already been through a divorce, and they're already getting used to different things. And so let them have the stability of keeping that same house. And you've got 50-50 with that house. You make a big decision like that, and you sell this house, and then something happens, and interest rates go up, and then you realize, oh no, I had a 3% interest rate and a $100,000 loan, and now my interest rate is at 12%. And so that's $9,000 per $100,000 more that I've got to buy this new house for. And then
and pay more for the house.
right. And so you right now, if you've got a low interest rate in a house, do not sell it under
Yeah.
a situation like this.
No.
You got to run out your full amount of numbers. He would possibly ruin himself and lose all custody of the kids and realize, when I sold that house, that was the mistake.
I mean, I can imagine buying one for $20,000, but how do you end up losing $20,000 on one?
But I think he already feels that shame. Like I can hear that in
no,
his
I'm just
voice.
saying that's the thing. I want all that. If I'm him, I want all that in my rearview mirror.
Right.
And so you can channel that if I'm him to be angry, not at myself, but just at cleaning up the mess.
Exactly. And how good is it going to feel to know that you fought through it, that you took ownership of it, and that you fought to pay off that debt? When you get to the other side of that, you're going to have such a feeling of just relief and pride in the fact that, yeah, you made a mistake, but you know what? You fought to overcome that mistake.
I agree. And we'll tell you more of what a lawyer would think about what Dave Ramsey says in some of our shorts. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.